What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, as I can show you guys, as I told you in the title, what we're going to be doing here is that light is really bright. We're going to be doing a full walkthrough of SPAD.Next, setting up the Duke, the B60 here. I've gotten a couple of questions, one of them from a buddy this morning, about things that I haven't necessarily covered before in the past. Now, I'm no expert by any means. I still learn things pretty much every single time that I play with SPAD, and I'm pretty sure that we'll learn some things today. But I thought it might be kind of fun to walk you guys through it. I'm a big advocate of it, even though, and I will say it on live stream, I've said it in every video I've ever done, their customer service is absolute garbage. They're jerks. I have no problem saying that. I do not care. And that's the thing, is that unfortunately for me, and I've tried Axis and O's, I've tried Moby Flight, and they're great products, but I think it's just one of those things. I've been using SPAD for so long. I do think, in my personal opinion, that SPAD is still the best at what it does. Now, what does it do? It allows you to completely control just about anything in the sim. There are control bindings you can do within SPAD that you cannot do within inside the simulator. There are things called LVAR commands, for those of you who may not be aware. LVARs are, think them as hidden triggers or hidden items that you can do on the back end that aren't always in the sim. So an example, it's in the sim, but this is just an example. Like if you wanted to bind your landing gear, let's say the landing gear wasn't inside the simulator. Well, you could use SPAD to sort of reach around the simulator to the aircraft coding and grab your access to that. Or like, I guess a better example would be, and there would be no point to this particular one, but let's say an air vent, if you wanted to move the air vents by control. That would be an example of something that you might find, but there's far more to that. Data readouts, custom gauges, all kinds of things that you can do that we're not going to go that deep today, but anyway, I just thought this might be kind of a fun video. I'm a huge advocate of it, like I said, even despite all the nonsense with their customer service. So we're going to jump in here. What sim audio are we using? Oh, I bet you guys didn't hear a damn thing of that. That's good, because I came in the plane because it was really loud outside. So if you guys haven't tried it yet, this is the B60 Duke from Black Square. It is, for the longest time, the TBM 850 from Black Square was my favorite, and this one very quickly became my favorite. The other thing real quick that I am going to announce, you guys, there is a link down in my description to a GoFundMe. It is for a good friend of mine. He's actually the owner and operator of ATS Accessories, who made that button box back there, as well as my shifter, the extension, and the shift knob. His brother-in-law's wife was unfortunately diagnosed with a very, very aggressive and very, very rapid striking form of breast cancer. She's only 35 years old, mother of two young kids. Obviously, as a single parent, this hits home now. It doesn't matter how you become a single parent, and this makes it even worse till you lose your loved one at that. So there's a GoFundMe. It's just simply, as you guys can imagine, based on the information I already said, the prognosis isn't good, and the time is even worse. It doesn't sound like there's a lot of time left. A couple of streamers and myself are putting this together for their family, just to sort of help with whether it be medical expenses if she manages to beat the odds and pull through, and the gods that be, whoever you pray to. If you guys can help out, great. And if she pulls through, then this will help medical bills. If not, well, then it obviously helps with other things. So anyways, there is a link to that down in the description below. I'll be advertising this over the next couple of days, you guys. And also, any stream or recording that has that link in it, I will not be keeping any of the monetization that comes from it. The monetization will remain on, but any monies that these videos make or streams make will be going to their family. So I can't do much, but I'm trying to do what I can. So anyway, I wanted to toss that out for a second. I'll mention it again later on. So let's get started with SPAD, right? So with SPAD, here is the main interface. And let's see here. I want to make sure that I keep everything to where you guys can see it. I'm going to hide this for a minute because we don't need it just yet. So let me make sure I get to the right camera here. And let's pull this off. Yeah, you guys need to see my face over the hardware that actually matters. So why I use SPAD is because it is significantly easier to navigate, first off. The Microsoft Flight Simulator control GUI is just, it doesn't matter if it's 2024. The one thing that I've said from the launch of either one of them, the control GUI is crap. It's just garbage. It's clunky, it's laggy, it takes forever. Microsoft 2024, they tried to think ahead and make it so you could map per aircraft. Excuse me one second. Okay, I thought I was going to cough there for a second. Anyway, the long story short about what this does is not only can you set a base profile, so you can start with just like, let's say you're always, for me, I demonstrated this in a previous video. The idea behind a base profile is if you're always using the same controls, you've got one cockpit, one generalized set that you use, but you may tweak that based on the aircraft that you're flying. So you can create a base profile with things like your lights, battery, alternator, right? Things like that. It's exceptionally helpful for things like general aviation. And then you can copy that profile and specify or customize it to specific aircraft to your needs. And the beautiful part about SPAD is it automatically recognizes when you've done that. So when you switch aircraft, it automatically changes profiles. And not only does it change profiles based on the aircraft, but even as we're in the Duke right now, if we were to change the livery and come back in, it's going to ask, hey, do you want to assign this to the current profile? And if not, I can actually create a different profile based on the livery. And then if I were, and I don't know why you would do that. Yes, Jeremy, thank God it's Friday. You ain't lying. And then if you, like I said, I don't know why you would, but if you were changing liveries, it would switch. I guess maybe if you were using like a medevac, that's where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought. If you're going like a medevac versus passenger, I don't know where the controls would be different. Anyway, you guys catch the gist. So what we're going to do is, I already have a base profile, but we're going to start from complete scratch here with the Duke. So let's just get into it, I guess, and I'll show you guys how it works. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to come down, create empty profile. And I'm going to call this desk. I'm going to specify that because I'm flying from my desk. The cockpit's behind me. And we're going to call this desk B60. Okay, so there. Now we've got our profile created. Now we're just going to come right down here, and here's all the controls that the SPAD is currently picking up. This is everything that's currently plugged into my computer. We're not going to use all this, but this is everything that it currently sees. So what we're going to actually start with, obviously, is I always recommend starting with your base controls. Get the basics out of the way. Okay, so think ahead of that one right out of the gate. Your throttles, rudder, brakes, flight controls, right? So let's get that out of the way. So here we have, let me bring that back up. So here we're going to start with our throttles. And you can title these whatever you want in the device settings. We're not going to change that because then it requires a restart of SPAD. But it just works from left to right. So, you know, as long as you know what you're doing there. So we're going to start with this first one here. We're going to go to Add Event, Access Value Changed. I'm going to work a little quickly through this part, guys. I will be talking a bit faster. If you need me to slow down, by all means. But we're going to go Add Action, Standard Access, because it's just something that's already there. And why can I not remember? Do you have a reverser? You have a, oh, there's nothing mapped there. No, you don't have a reverser. No. Okay, so let's go back to SPAD. So we're going to go Add Action, Standard Event, Throttle without reverser. And this is where you can either set, so if I wanted to use one axis and do all of my engines, I could do all 4 engines if we were on a 4-engine bird. But obviously we want to split them up to engines 1 and 2. So we're going to set it to full thrust. Right here, full thrust. We're going to hit set. We're going to kick it all the way down to idle. And again, set. And we're going to hit OK. And then we're going to come down here. And once again, do the same thing. Access value change, add action, standard access, throttle without reverser. Engine 2 this time, set full thrust, bring it down to idle, set, OK. And that's it. And the beautiful part about this too is that you don't have to go back into the damn menu to test everything. So you can just drag this off to the side for a second, and there's our throttles working. Okay, so you can test things on the fly very easy with SPAD too. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get into the propellers. And the beautiful part is that I think the condition levers on this aircraft will require the LVARs. So stand by on that, or the mixture levers, not the condition levers. I was thinking the turboprop. So now we're just going to find propeller pitch. There it is. And we're going to work with the left engine first. So engine 1 and max, right? Set. Bring it down to minimum. Set. OK. Hit OK again. And then we're going to rinse and repeat for axis 3. Add event. Axis value change. Add action. Standard axis. Propeller pitch. Whew! I got this. Engine 2. Max. Bring it down to low. Or I guess high technically. And hit OK. And save. And again, now we can just simply move this out of the way. And there's everything working. Now, if I remember the mixture, unless they changed it, I don't think he did. But let's try it. Standard access for most aircraft, this will work, but there are certain aircraft, third-party aircraft, where sometimes the mixture or condition lever actually requires the LVAR. So we'll see if it works. So engine 1, max or full rich, full lean, or cut off in this case. Let's see if it's working. So you can hear it, but notice that the lever isn't working. So let me show you guys how we're going to fix that. We're going to go this a different way. Now, I wasn't talking about the Bravo having reverse. I was talking about the aircraft having reverse. Okay. Got to have my monster at 10:30 at night. So now we're going to go to add event, access value changed, add action, and this is where things come a little bit different. So we can go a couple of different ways, but what we're going to do is we're going to just use change data value. We're going to look for LVAR, and actually I think it's a B event in this aircraft. And these are some of the things that aren't there. Turbocharger mixer controller, so there it is. So we've got 1 and 2. So we're going to select number 1 for engine 1. And then you can see here, this is for the set. This is not what I wanted. I did hit the wrong one after all. Well, you guys get to see it in action. So access value changed again, and we're going to do custom access event. There we go. Now we're going to browse again. And the nice thing about browse is it will always take you back to what you previously selected. So there it is once again, turbocharger. And this one, what we're going to do is use access value. And that should be it for this aircraft. And there it goes, although I selected the wrong engine. I did. I selected 2. So now you guys can see how to edit one if you select the wrong one. So we're going to come in here, highlight our line, highlight the line again that we want to edit. And in this case, come back and find number 1. And hit OK. And now we have that. So now we'll rinse and repeat for the other side. So again, add event, add access, custom access, browse. This time we do want number 2. And input event usually, or the number, either one usually works. And we're going to do access value. Save again, and now we should have both engines working. All right, so there we go. And I can tell you that process is going to be the same like in the Black Square TBM 850. If you were wanting to set the condition lever, that's how you would do that in there as well. It's not going to work on the mixture lever. So now we have our throttle box set up. So now let's set up the trim wheel, right? So for the trim wheel on the Bravo, we got, let's see here, 22 is down, 23 is aft. So let's go for 22. Now we're going to go add event, button pressed, add action. This time we're going to send a simulation event. And we're going to go to trim. And we're going to look for our elevator trim. There it is. Elevator trim down is what we want for this one. Now, this one's a little bit different. If you just set 1, okay, you have to set a number. How much do you want it to move? If you set it 1, that trim wheel is going to move very, very quickly. So what I usually recommend doing is doing like a 0.01. Hit OK. And now when we roll that trim wheel forward, there it is. You guys can see it moving. But if we were to just set that to 1, that would move very quickly. Let me show you guys that. Actually, it looks like in this aircraft it doesn't. Cool. Well, then we can just leave it as 1. So then now let's roll it back. Like I said, I don't claim to be an expert. Let's do elevator trim up. And since we proved that 1 works just fine, we'll use 1. So now we got forward and aft on the elevator trim. Let's get it back in the green because I'll forget. You guys know I will. Want to make sure we're in the green. All right, so now we've got our trim, we've got our throttle, we've got our mixture, we've got our condition levers. So what's next? Now let's work on, let's just set the rudder pedals while we're here. Now my rudder pedals are actually already set in the sim. But let me go ahead and remove that for a second. But look, this is a perfect example right here of why I don't like using Microsoft Flight Simulators. Controls. Come in here, find the device you want, You can't test it while you're in the menu to verify that you have the right thing. VPC. And let's just go default. There we go. Apply. Hit OK. Go back. Now they shouldn't do anything. Cool. Now let's go into SPAD. And let's find our VPC rudders. That's Virpil. There's our Z-axis. Going to add event. Axis value changed. Add action. Standard axis. And go for rudder. And I'm going to take my feet off them. Let it balance. Select center. Kick it full right. Set. Kick it full left. Set. And hit OK. Now, one of the things that I almost always have to do on this, if you notice, they're inverted. So that's, well, you wouldn't be able to notice that, but I just kicked the right one forward and the left one went forward. So to invert the axis, we're just going to simply open it up, select it, and right here, invert axis. Select that, hit OK, off we go. Boom, and it already switched. I didn't even take my foot off it. Now let's set our toe brakes. It's going to be the same thing. Let's see, that's the left toe brake. Standard axis, left toe brake. So no brake, set, max brake, set. And usually with this, I actually don't have to invert these. But if we do, we know how to do it. Let's get that parking brake off. Yep, we're good. All right. So speaking of the parking brake, let's do that next since we're here. Tends to be another one that tends to get people. So let's go back to our Bravo. And let's find a switch. We'll just pick this one right here. First one. Let's set that up for, and that's going to be on the autopilot and switches. And you can see it moving there. We're going to use this one. Switch on. We're going to go to add action. Change data value. Actually, we can do send simulation event too. And we're just going to type the word park. It's the easiest way to find it. And you have parking brakes and parking brake set. You want parking brake set. Okay. And then now what you're doing is, what do you want to set it? Okay. With all of these variables, like even condition levers. Okay. Condition levers, you typically have cutoff, and then you have low idle, and you have flight idle, or some variant of. Right? But there are usually 3 positions to a condition lever on a turboprop. So when we're doing this, okay, we're going to do the same thing. You have 0, 1, and 2, and then sometimes 1, 2, 3, 4, like a magneto, for example. The magneto switches will have, I think, 5, if I remember correctly. So for this case, 0 is usually off, 1 is usually on, but there are times that rule doesn't always apply. But we're going to try for 1, and we're going to see what it does. And again, the beautiful part is we just move that out of the way. Okay, it didn't turn it off, so that's a good sign. So now we're going to come back here, bring it back over, add event, switch off, add action, send simulation event, parking brake set, change that to a 0, hit OK, save. And now it should, there you go. I actually don't have any problem starting in any order. And hey, Ray, how you doing? I normally don't have any issue. You can start them in any order. It doesn't ever seem to matter. I cannot tell you the 104,000 billion times I have forgot to start SPAD. So I'm the king of it. And it's never given me any problems starting SPAD first or the sim first. It doesn't seem to care. Your controls just won't work. If you ever get in, and that's usually my indicators, I'll get in and things won't be working, and I'll be like, what the hell? SPAD's not running. So, but yeah, no, I don't usually have a problem running either way. I mean, I guess ideally, if you want to get technical, you should probably start SPAD first because it uses the LVAR bridge. And you want that bridge running when the Microsoft Flight Simulator launches. But again, I've never had an issue. Okay. Okay. The one catch there, though, I'll give you that. So, for example, we had to use a big event or LVARs for the condition levers. If you ever get an error that says the LVAR bridge has timed out, usually you will have to restart SPAD after, because it'll ask you, do you want to restart the LVAR bridge or reinstall it? Usually you will have to close SPAD and relaunch it at that point. And sometimes, I haven't had to in a long time, but sometimes you'll have to restart the simulator to get the LVAR bridge back, but that's rare. But anyway, hope that answered your question. All right, so we've got our parking brake now. We've got the entire throttle quadrant set up. We've got the trim wheel set up. We've got our brakes and rudder set up. Now let's set up our yoke. All right, again, sticking with the basics, and then we'll start playing with the fun stuff. So coming back over today, we are using the Winwing Orion flight stick that we have over here. Oh, and that's already set too. It's in the sim. So let's turn that off because no. Anytime that you can see any of my controls in the sim, I was just lazy. That's all that was. VPC rudder pedal. There it is. All right. There we go. All right. So now that shouldn't do anything. Good. All right. So let's set it in SPAD. So there we go. Finding our axis. I don't know why it shows so many axes. It does not have that many. Like literally. It's got... Nope, that's a button. That's a button. Those are buttons. Those are buttons. That's... I have no idea where all of these other axes are come from. Even at most, this thing is capable of a Z-axis rotation, but where all these other ones came from, hell if I know. Anyway, so X-axis is always going to be your ailerons. Always. X-axis in any game, any sim, doesn't matter. X is always left to right. So standard access, we're looking for our ailerons. You can see centered. We're going to leave it centered. Full right. This is where you'll need two hands. Going full left. It's really weird using the mouse with the left hand. There we go. And hit OK. And then let's do the same thing for Y-axis. The other thing that I never have to do in this is I never change dead zones. I never create curves. You can in this. I don't. I just sort of learned to fly it with what I got, so I stay comfortable with everything. All right, set our neutral position. Elevators up. Set. Elevators down. Set. There we go. Cool. All right, so now all of our basic flight controls are there. So now let's start working on moving our way around. How I typically do it is I think about moving my way through the flight process. So like next we'll work on batteries, alternators. We can even do our magnetos. Magnetos I tend to sort of leave alone and just use the mouse with them just because there's no great way to do it where it feels real, but there's a bunch of stuff that we can do. Batteries, things like that, you can. I'll show you guys batteries and alternators just to make sure you guys see how to do it, but I don't normally do them either. I do typically the lights and landing gear. So we'll start with the battery just so you guys can see it. So again, coming back over here to SPAD, let's pick another switch. Now, what I do like to do is because the parking brake is over here, I will usually use all of my primary electronics on the other side so you don't accidentally bump them when trying to go for the parking brake. Okay? Yeah, it just tends to ruin your flight a little bit. Anyway, so let's see here. What do we got? We're going back to the Bravo. So now we're going to start over here. And so switch off is fine. And we're going to send simulation event. This part is super easy. For a lot of the stuffs, you're going to be using send simulation event. Now you have battery 1, or you can typically do batteries 1 and 2. And by the way, you can always bind multiple actions to a single switch. So if you have to map batteries 1 and battery 2, but you only have one switch available to do both, excuse me, you can absolutely create the same command, repeat it on the same switch, just with a different command line, right? So let's see here. This aircraft only has one battery. So usually, though, you can use master battery. And in most aircraft, whether there's one battery switch, two battery switches, it doesn't usually matter. If you use master battery on and off, it'll flip them both on. So we can hit OK for off. And then we're going to, once again, add action here, switch on, send simulation event. And remember, it always remembers where you were before. And we're going to hit battery on. And now, without even flipping the switch or going back to the sim, you can already see everything, the battery light came on. So perfecto. So we'll leave that there, but I want to demonstrate for you guys how to do that. It's the same thing for alternators, generators. You would repeat the process. Like I said, I don't usually map my electricals to anything. The things that I use, and this is the other thing that for you to think about as you're mapping your controls. especially if you're limited on space or limited on the number of controls that you can map, be thinking about what do you actually use while flying, because those are going to be the things that are most difficult to reach. Yes, it does. I have the 530, so you know what? Give me a minute. Tell you what. I'll show you that. Let me switch planes because I got to get into the one with the 530 in it. So let's go back to the main menu. Oop, jerk. And where's my 530? Give me a second. Whoa, shit. Hi. Now the problem here is that I'm going to need a serial USB. And I don't think I have one handy over here. I will pull it out of the flight stick in a minute here. Hope you guys don't mind, sorry. It's my little sin. I don't drink, I don't do anything like that, but I vape. Not that drinking's bad, I used to. I just can't. Anyway. That just sounded really judgy and I want to fix that. I don't drink for you alkies. I'm just kidding. Oh no. Wrong aircraft. It's inside the tablet, isn't it? Damn it. Let's go back, I guess. I just wanted you guys to see the menu. Isn't this a nice map? I just wanted you guys to see that. No, don't set as departure. I hate it when it does that. Come on, Microsoft. Killing me, Smalls. By the way, guys, once again, like I said, I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to keep reminding. Please check out the GoFundMe link that is down in the description below. It's for a good friend of mine. His brother-in-law's wife is diagnosed with a very unfortunate, aggressive, and very fast-moving form of breast cancer. And unfortunately, the prognosis time is very, very short. Myself and another couple other streamers are putting something together to just try to help out the family. So if you guys can take a moment, just check that out. If you can donate, great. If not, just keep watching this video, because any video or stream that I do that has that link in it, all the proceeds from those videos will be going to that family. So it's better when you guys donate, simply because YouTube takes so much of the funds on their side. So anyway, let's find the tablet. That's what I needed. All right, so real quick, let me show you. Let me get this guy plugged in real quick. Now, speaking of which, we're going to unplug the joystick to do this. Now, speaking of which, if you ever change hardware, plug in new hardware, remove hardware, you will need to restart SPAD. You don't have to restart the sim, but you got to restart SPAD. So there's the GNS 530. I'm not using the screen, but the controls, you'll see how that all works. And it's the same process for the 430. See, there's the flight sim builder. We're going to keep default, go back in here. I do need to restart SPAD, so make sure that you save your work. Close. Make sure it closed, and let me relaunch it. Okay, so no, Duke B60 is active. Yes, I want to assign this aircraft to it. And we're going to come down to controls, and we should see our flight sim builder GNS 530. This part is super easy, and it's going to be the same thing for the 430. So we're going to click on any button. Doesn't matter. We're going to go to online snippets. It's going to pop up another window. Let me make sure that stays in the view. Now, you can see that we have Flight Sim Builder 530, so it already recognizes this particular device. And I'm pretty sure you could use probably any of them, because the layout should be the same. But you can see it has button 30 identified, or we can go all the way down and find any individual button based on... Oh, that's weird. I wonder why it only shows button 30. That was odd. Is that what I selected? I thought I selected 7. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Well, the part that I want to show you, I'm sorry guys, I'm tired, is complete device. So we're going to go complete device. What I usually do is I find the most recent. So Flight Sim Builder, GNS 530, and you can see here's GNS 430 animated. they can use for both, but I want just the 530. I don't have the 430. And so I'm using this one that has the Sim Connect. I know that that one is the most recent, but again, it has the 430 combo. I'm not going to worry about that, so I'm going to hit OK. It's going to ask me, do you want to replace all events? I'm going to hit yes. I'm going to hit save. And now if we start clicking on these, they are all already assigned as required. This is more buttons than what this thing has on it, so I'm not quite sure why it's doing that. But let me show you here. Let's get batteries on. Let's get the avionics power on. Let me bring this guy over to you. I'm gonna knock my monster over is what I'm gonna do. So again, I don't have the screen plugged in, but you'll get the idea. So enter. There you go, bud. And if we want to go to flight plan, with a couple clicks of a button, like it took nothing to do that, right? Clear, clear. And go back to your flight plan page. Everything works within a couple of seconds. This is, again, another reason why I love SPAD. It makes things a lot easier. And then if you create a profile, let's say that someone else hasn't, you can also upload it. And that way someone else in the future, or even yourself, you know, some people don't like to upload things, like, you know, kind of just like to keep things for themselves. But the nice part is like you can back up your profiles. They are stored locally as well. But the nice thing is for example, if you were to lose track of yours, you would be able to go onto the online area and find your own profile as well. So anyway, I hope that helped. But yes, you can absolutely, and the 430 is there as well. The 1000. Oh, that's nice, dude. You have to tell me how you like it. He offered me one, but I haven't decided yet. All right, so let me shut that back down. So where were we? Let's remove the control locks. I am going to, for the time being, unplug the GNS 530. Because we're going to need the stick more than anything. Yeah, you bet, man. My pleasure. Like I said, it's a really powerful software. I'm going to restart it since I unplugged the stick, or unplugged the 530. It's expensive, the customer service sucks, but the program really is phenomenal. Like, you just can't... I think it is the best at what it does. And those online snippets just add to the cake there. Okay, so now we're going to go back. We've got our elevator access. We've got, I think, all of our access now set up. We were working on, I showed you guys how to do the battery. Showed you how to do the parking brake. We've got the trim set up. Let's work on the landing gear. That's obviously a critical one. And now, the interesting thing about the landing gear, we've got all pipe switches. It actually has, notice this is for the Bravo. This is specific to the Bravo. But you have a blue box here. If you move your mouse down, oh no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the flap switch. The flap switch does. Ha! Anyway, landing gear. Let's do this. So we're going to go gear up. And this, again, can't be any easier. Add action, send simulation event. And we're just going to type gear. Without the 4. Hey, not a problem, man. You have a good night as well. Sleep well. And then we're going to find gear up. Hit OK. Hit OK. And then we're going to rinse and repeat for gear down. Done. And so now, and you can go ahead and test it. There we go. And now let's do the same thing for the flaps. Now flaps up are 2 different buttons and flap down. So we're going to do button press for flaps up. Add action, send simulation event. Now this one tends to get some people too. So what you want to watch for when you're searching for flaps is you'll actually see a couple of different options. You have flap stages, and this is if you have individual stages available on your controls. You could do flaps 1, 2, 3, and 4 if you have 4. You have, this is the one that normally gets people though. Flaps up and flaps down. So there's flaps up, that's flaps down. Flaps up, fully retracted. Flaps down, fully extended. What you want is increase and decrease. So we selected the flaps up switch, so we would want to decrease. So it's only going to go one stage at a time. And then we go to flaps down, button pressed, add action, send simulation event, and we're going to do flaps increase. And save. And now you can see the flap switch moving over here. Okay. All right, autopilot. This is another really cool one that's fun to use with the online snippets. So we're going to go to online snippets. And actually, if I remember correctly, let me check something. I thought you could also... There's two ways to do this. Let me show you guys something. This is actually kind of fun. Let's use the autopilot master. Now, I'm going to make sure my profile is saved. Let me move this over a little bit. I'm going to make sure this profile is saved. If it's red, it's not. We're going to go to our profiles. I'm going to go to my base profile up here. And I'm going to find the Bravo again. And we're going to find the autopilot master. And now what I'm going to do is, you can do this a couple different ways. We can do... is it Control All? Oh. You can copy an event one at a time. You used to be able to select... I think I'm doing something wrong. Because you used to be able to select all of them at once. But for me, it's not working this time. So we can copy the event. All events, that's what I wanted. So we can do copy all events on this switch. There's two ways to do this. I'm not sure which one is necessarily faster or not. But now we'll go back to our Duke B60. Go back to our Bravo. Come here. And Control V will paste it. So now the autopilot master switch and all of its controls are there. So we can hit save and that's there. Or the alternative is just like we did before. So let's start with the rotary on the left side of the Bravo, where it has all of your different autopilot bug selectors. Okay, we're going to start at the bottom, indicated airspeed, and we're just going to go to online snippets again. Now, if you get really fast, you can probably copy the profiles pretty quickly, but this is actually a pretty good connection today. So there it is. Select airspeed bug. We're going to hit OK. And we're just going to move up to the next one and just rinse and repeat. So now we're looking for course. This is going to be VOR OBS. Heading. Internet connection is nice today. It's moving quickly. Vertical speed. VSI bug select. Altitude. Altitude bug select. Hit OK. Save. That's done. Okay, then this one here. We're going to go to online snippets. This should be the plus and minus. This one can sometimes be a little trickier to find. You can see you have specific autopilots. A300. Let's try autopilot knob. We'll see what that does. Usually there's a plus and minus, but anyway, we'll throw that in there. Well, let's use the Sim Connect autopilot knob. Bravo. That's airspeed hold. That's not what I want. So you know what? Let's go and do the one that I know works. So let's do what we did before. Save. Come up here. Let me go to base. And let's find the name of it. What was it? Yeah. There was a lot there. So again, edit event. Copy. Copy all events. Now I'm going to go back to my profiles. B60. and Control V to paste. And you guys can see SimConnect Autopilot Altitude LVAR, SimConnect Autopilot Altitude LVAR Lock. These are all the different parameters that you can set. All right. And now let's just set in the modes real quick and we'll be on our way. So this is going to be autopilot heading. Now we're looking for nav. Autopilot nav. Approach. Reverse course. Nope, not what I wanted. Altitude hold. Vertical speed. Autopilot vertical speed. And airspeed hold. That's it. Save all those. All right, and we already got our autopilot master mode set. So that is pretty much it. You can also set the annunciators based on different variables, but I don't go all into that. I'm rarely looking down at those. So let's see what we got now. Now let's start working on our lights, and we'll look at setting our barometric pressure. So for that, we're going to move on down to the PU Autopilot add-on, which is going to be this guy right here. I did a review on this a couple weeks ago. You guys can find that in my channels. Really great piece of hardware. Very simple, very easy to use. All right, so now, and we can even check, see if anyone's put anything together for this one yet. They have. So you got the fly-by-wire 320 that's already up there. These are full devices, the PMDG 737. And these definitely work very ideally for that. But we're going to sort of customize it. So for the first one here, let's set our barometric pressure. Now the easiest way to do that is you can see that the altimeter is set to 29902, and that's where we want it. We want it at the standard pressure to do this. And then I have to remember what we're looking for. Button pressed, add action, send simulation event. And I got to remember, what is this thing called? Let's find something real quick. I always forget what the name is, and it starts with a damn K. Collins? No. And unfortunately, we have to remember this, because if you don't, it's almost impossible to find. That's not what we're looking for. You can set the standard pressure, but that's still not what we want. Oh, the joys. See if I can track it down. Although that'd be one too, the instrument altimeter, but that's not what I want you guys to see. So I guess we're going to come through here and just scroll down. I have to reload it. That's what I wanted. Alright, let's go find the Ks. Let's do SimConnect. HI. Colesman! There it is. Gosh, I hate that. Okay, so let's take a look at Colesman set first. Used to give us the value. All right, so we want increase. We do want increase on one direction. So let's go ahead and select that. That should be that one. And if we come down here, let me move this. Yep, it is now moving the altimeter. So now let's go to 24 or 21. Add event, button pressed, add action, send simulation event, Colesman decrease. Hit OK, hit OK. Okay. And now when I rotate that down, we are now at 2992. Now there should be a way. This is the push button, add action, button pressed. Now we're going to change a data value. This is where we're going to find it. And we're going to once again look for that Colesman. Was it KHO? No, KOH. One of these should have a value in it. There it is right there. So you want to take note of this number. Let me move this over. This number right here, because we want to match it exactly. All right, so what I normally do is use like a screenshot software. In this case, I'm using GreenShot, and I'll take that. Okay. So we're going to grab this, and we want Colesman setting, and you can see it's the same thing up here. Okay, so we're just going to use the top one. And it's going to bring our window up here, and we're going to set right here. So you want it as set. So we did change data value, selected the Colesman setting HG, use set, and type in that exact number. So that is, let's see if I can do this. I'm going to have to drag this off screen for a second in order to see it. Damn it. And SPAD is still in my way. So 29.9213428497. And we're going to hit OK. And so now when we come in here and we change our altimeter, let's say our altimeter is 004. If we push the button, it automatically sends us back to 2992. So now we've got our barometric pressure all set. Nope, I don't want to save the GreenShot. Okay, so we've got our altimeter. Let's just get some lights on this bad boy, and we'll be good for today. Oh, you know what? Let me show you. This one's a little bit harder. I'm going to show you guys one aircraft that's a little bit different for panel lighting, because that's another one that came up today. But I'll have to go to a different aircraft for that. So we'll bear with me on that one for just a minute. So let's get some lights set up in this pretty girl here. I always forget what. Whoa. There we go. That's what I wanted. So there's our lights, and let's set them up. Now we're going to be using the same button box here, the PU, and it's got an entire external lighting, strobe, beacon, nav, wing, logo, runway, landing, and taxi lights. It's also got seatbelt, no smoking, and your anti-ice wing, engine, window, and probe. 2 black buttons here on the left, which is what I would usually use for master caution, master warning. And then we still have one encoder that's left, or potentiometer, which actually is really just buttons. But anyway, so let's set our lights. There it is, and these toggle on and off. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit different tactic on how you do these. So we're going to go add event, button pressed. In this case, we're starting with the strobe light. Send simulation event. This part is very easy. Strobe, apparently I hit the caps lock. Strobe's on. We're going to set that. Hit OK. Hit OK. Now, the only difference is, remember I said these are on off, so it's not triggering another button. So now we're going to go add event, button released. Okay. And we're going to add action, send simulation event. Strobe's off. Okay. And we're just going to work our way through. Next one is beacon. Very simple stuff. Beacon lights on. Button released. Beacon lights off. Ah, damn it. I didn't realize I was off screen that whole time. That sucked. Sorry, guys. Well, there's plenty more to do. So now we're doing the nav lights here on 5. We can actually turn those two off. So button pressed, add action, send simulation event. Now I recommend nav underscore. And if you need to, you can there then type lights. There they are. Nav lights on. And button released. Nav lights off. Save that. We're not going to have wing lights in this aircraft. Well, I guess we do have... Well, that's a wing ice. We'll look for wing lights. Why not? This one... Wing underscore... Wing lights. And then add event, button released. Send simulation event, wing lights off. See if that actually worked in this aircraft. It does. I stand corrected. Although, my nav lights, oh, it's got strobe and nav. This one's a bit different. Cool, so that'll be fun. We're going to have to play with the nav light switch in this particular aircraft because that does not work correctly. Beacon light, neither does the beacon because we have beacon and recog and off. So that's going to be different too. And this one is the strobe lights, which this aircraft technically does not have except for down there. So, which I'm willing to bet they're going to be a B event. So let's actually just back up. Well, let's finish. Let's get our taxi lights on, which is all the way over here. Send simulation event. Now we're going to do, what was I doing? Okay. And landing lights, which we're going to be putting on both left and right on a single switch. Which again, usually just works by doing landing. Landing lights, there they are. Landing lights on. Perfect. Now let's see if we can figure out these nav lights. So we have nav and strobe. So let's do this. We're going to come back over here. We're going to find strobe. And we're just going to clear these because they clearly don't work with this particular aircraft. We're going to add event, button pressed, add action, send simulation event, and I'm willing to bet it's going to be a B event. So let's find strobe. Nope, nothing in there. B lighting, taxing, and wing, which means it's going to be an LVAR. Let's check one more thing. No. All right, so now we're going to try something different. We're going to do a change data value. See if we can't find these. Change data value is always going to be where you find your LVARs. Strobe. Nav strobe lights. So this is what I was talking about earlier, so this is going to be kind of fun. So unfortunately, we only have a 2-position switch. These are 3-position. Okay, so you have nav, off, strobe, and nav. So you're kind of going to have to decide which way you want to go with this. In our case, we're probably just going to go with strobe and nav and then off, because again, we only have 2 positions. Now you could set modifiers and things like that, but I'm not going to go that detailed into this tutorial. So I do want to show you guys though what I was talking about with the LVARs. So let's go back to SPAD. So here, so let me walk you guys through that again just for a second here. So we select our switch. We're going to do add event, button pressed, add action, change data value. You find your LVAR. In our case, we're going to look for strobe. Here it is. We're looking for strobe nav lights. You can see it's currently in position 1. Okay, that's the value that you want to pay attention to. So what's position 1? Position 1 is off. Okay, which means if we come down here, we go down to the strobe position, we come back to SPAD, you can see now it's in position 2. Okay, which means 0 would be nav. Okay, so it goes nav, off, strobe, and nav. So how this is seeing it, if you notice when we put it into the strobe and nav, we now see the value as 2. Okay, where before when it was in the off position, it was 1, which means that nav would just be 0. So what we want to do is when we flip that switch on, we want to set the data value to 2. And then we already know what we want to do to set it the other direction. So when we release it, we want it to go back in the off position. So we're going to go add action, change data value, nav and strobe lights. Only this time we want to set it to 1. And we hit OK, hit save, come down here, and we should. That's the off position. Okay, so I actually think I reversed it. Let's see here. Button pressed. Huh. Something I didn't like about that. Oh, I set them both to pressed. That's why. Oops. All right, so we need to change this. This action needs to be changed to... I don't think I can change that. So I'm going to hit cancel. We're going to delete that one. I'm going to do add event, button released. Add action, change data value. And we want to set that to 1. There we go. So now we should. There's that on and off. There we go. Helps when you set it correctly. All right, and so the same thing with the beacon lights. You have beacon and recog, or you just have beacon. We're just going to go for the beacon light. That's more realistic, at least in the aspect of starting the aircraft up. You're going to have your beacon lights on. So what we can do here to very easily find out, we're going to flip the beacon light on to the on position, and you don't need electrical power for this because it doesn't care. We're going to find our beacon light switch, and we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to delete these because we know they don't work. Add event, button pressed, change data value. In our case now we're going to look for LVAR again. Only this time we're going to look for beacon. And right here. So if we highlight this one, we got 0 and 0. Beacon recog lights. So we're just going to do this one here. That's the one we want. You don't want rotating beacon position. You want the lights. So it's currently in 0. So we're going to set that to 0 because that's what we want when we press it. And then if we want to, what we can do is flip that down to the off position. And again, I bet you that's going to be a 1. So we can actually just check that. And there it is. You can already see it's a 1 now. So we're going to set this to a 1 when we release the switch. And I hit pressed again. Damn it, I've got to stop doing that. And hit save. There you go. There's beacon light on, beacon light off. All right, so now everything else should work. So now we have our strobe and nav lights. Beacon light works on the nav light. We're not going to worry about it. Now we could do that too, though. Actually, you know what? We can do this. So I'm going to show you. This gets a little tricky, though. This gets a little stinky. Okay, so You can use the nav light switch if you have a second switch that you want to do just for the nav lights. Okay, but let's see how this is going to work. So what we're going to do here, let's find this switch here. This is the nav light switch. Let's see what this does. Let's try this out together. If we do, theoretically it should work, I guess. I know how we'll do this. Okay. So we're going to do button pressed, add action, change data value. We're going to go back to our LVAR again. This time we're going to find nav lights again. Oh, I remember how I found it. I found it through strobe. There we go. All right, so nav and strobe lights. So here's what we're going to do. We know that 0 is the nav position, so we want that. When we turn them off, so add action, button released, we want it to be change data value, and we want action 1 as the variable. That will put it back into the off position. So let's do this. If I flip my nav lights on, nav light goes to on. If I flip my strobe lights on, it goes down to strobe. So when we turn the strobe light off, we actually want it to go back to the nav position because we're going to turn our nav lights off at the very end of the flight. So here's how we're going to change this. We're going to change this one to the button released. Instead of going to 1, we're going to have it go to 0. So now as you walk through the flow of your startup, right? Okay, you're going to start your aircraft up. First thing we normally do is we turn our nav lights on. Then you're going to turn your beacon light on. Then you're going to turn your taxi light on. You're going to walk down to the airplane or to the airport, to the runway. You're going to fly. You're going to do your thing. You're going to come back down, or you're going to get to the runway. You got to turn your strobe lights on. So then after you land and we're ready to taxi off the runway, we're going to turn our strobe lights off, but we still want the nav lights on. Then once we get to our parking, we would then turn the nav lights off. So that will work. Perfect. There you go. There's our workaround for that. So even that, we figured it out. And this is why I love SPAD. This is why I love SPAD. These are the things that will make you sort of rack your brain like, all right, now how do I make this work? And again, we could have also set a modifier. We could have set a modifier, for example, if we wanted to set, I'll show you guys real quick how you would get an idea of a modifier. Button pressed. If we wanted, let's say, button 2. Let me find that. Button 2. Okay, so let's say for button release, in order to turn these nav strobe lights off. So let's go to 3 for a second. All right, so that's strobe and nav. But before we wanted them to go back to the nav position, if we wanted to add a condition, I gotta remember how to do this. You can set it to where a button is pressed. Event. Devices. Bravo. What did I say? No, that's not the Bravo. The PU add-on. Button 2. Here it is. Button 2. Local. Equals. Yeah. Equals. And 1. 1 should be depressed. So if I'm right, and if I remember how to do this correctly, when we go to flip this switch right now to turn it off, nothing should happen. Now if I hold that button, there you go. So 1 is, remember I told you, 1 is almost always on, 0 is always off or released. So again, if we watch, there you guys go. So if I flip our strobe light switch on, so on, remember, button pressed, we don't have any requirements. Okay, it's just when that switch goes up. But now we added a condition that in order to turn the strobe light back to the nav position, we have to have this button here, number 2, on. So now if I just flip that switch down, notice the light goes off, but nothing happened with the switch. But if I hold that button and then flip the switch, there you go. So that's how you would add a condition if you wanted to add a condition. And the X just simply means that that condition is not currently being met at the time that it was created. So that's just an example of conditions, and you can do a number of different things. You could have, in order for XYZ to happen, the flaps position has to be in position 2 or 3 in order for another event to take place, you know, whether it be dropping the landing gear or something like that. Like, I don't know why you would do that, but just an example of some of the conditions you can set. And then to remove them, you simply just delete condition. And now it'll work back to the way that we had it. So anyway, let's see here. What do we have left? We've done quite a lot. Now, obviously, anything that's in here, especially with SPAD, and that's the beautiful part about SPAD, again, and I'll continue to stress it. I will say it over and over again. I know, and because no one ever fails to say it, I know who and what they are. I get it. If you know, you know. But the software itself is really cool and really powerful and allows you to do a ton of stuff that I have barely even scratched the surface of. I have barely touched the surface on what this software can do. I mean, literally. It can do pretty much anything in the plane. If you can find the LVAR and find the event, you can figure out how to map it. There are a ton of tutorials out there. I've done a bunch of them. So make sure you guys check them out. Give me about 5 or 10 minutes, guys, here. I'm going to end this particular stream because I want it to be separate. Please make sure to go check that GoFundMe link down in the description below. Remember that all monies that are generated by this video through YouTube, Twitch, etc. Will be also donated to that family. I personally will be donating a little bit. I can't do much. I am also in the position of a single parent. But I am going to give any monies that these videos create will be going to that GoFundMe as well. It's a really terrible situation, a horrible thing for a family to go through, any family, and to any other families that are going through this. If you happen to see this video, my heart goes out to you guys. Anyway, as always, guys, stay safe and healthy. And I will see you in a few minutes, and we'll go live again, and we're either going to fly or drive. I haven't decided yet, but we'll see.